Hi everybody, welcome to my studio. I'm Mary Rose Feldman. I'm an artist and a certified Zentangle teacher. Are you ready to tangle together, have a little bit of creative time, have a nice little breath, a little moment of mindfulness today? Might be the only time we actually get to stop and just focus on our breath and be a little bit grounded. We're going to do a tile today. Super excited to tangle with you. But before we do anything, I want to go ahead and have a moment of gratitude as we always do. Just bring all of our senses together. That's all mindfulness is when you just get your senses to honor where you are mentally, physically, where you're sitting, and just appreciate the moment. You will hear groundedness as well. So just go ahead and take a nice, good, deep breath. And you can do this however you need to, whatever feels good for you. Just breathe normally. You can open or close your eyes. And just honor that inhale and honor that exhale. Start to notice how you feel. Are your shoulders raised? Are your arms tense? Are your feet knotted and twisted up? Get them relaxed and flat on the ground if you can and if that's comfortable. If you're feeling tension or stress, when you exhale, think of releasing the muscle tension. Think of letting go of the stressful thoughts or the worry. Think of them floating away. The affirmation for today: I am a creative spirit and open my heart to inspiration from all around me. Have a moment of gratitude. Pause the video if needed. Come on back when you're ready. Okay, there's our affirmation. For those who are new here, new to my classes, new to my channel, I have an affirmation before every class when we do our moment of gratitude. This is from my affirmation deck. It says for a Zentangle journey, but it's for a creative journey as well, if you aren't a regular tangler. And a lot of people wanted to see the card, so I like to show that on screen for everybody. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to get some practice in. We are going to do a tangle that focuses a lot on auras, and I thought it would be beneficial to just practice auras a little bit. The tangle pattern we're going to do is senna. It's one of the tangle patterns. And senna is a bunch of auras. I love it for zenful creativity, zenful mindfulness, gentle tangling. And I'm going to back up for those who might be new to tangling. When we do a line, or we draw a line, in Zentangle we have something called an aura. An aura is when we leave a little space and we mimic the line, or we follow that line. So if that line went this way in a bit of a C curve, an aura would mimic that C curve. Okay, or follow that shape. The cool thing about auras is they don't always have to be evenly spaced. This is also an aura, even though it's narrower and wider. This is an aura where you tether it to one end, and you can keep doing that. Those are all auras. You can tether both ends. Okay, these are all very simple pen strokes that take a line and we're not tracing the line, but we're kind of honoring its shape and then adding more interest to it. So I call it mimicking a line, but it doesn't have to be even spacing. It can do all different kinds of things. What's magical about the senna tangle pattern is that you get into this flow of the aura and you can make it go in different directions. One thing that makes it really special is takeoff and land. And this is something we reference in simple tangling, where if I want to do a tethered aura like this, I'm not starting here going up and coming down. So see the difference between that and this. If we want to get this flow of auras, which is what the magic of senna is, and we want to do an arch, I'm going to start back here on the line, and I'm moving my hand forward. And as I'm moving my hand forward, I'm going to try to do it this way. As I'm moving my hand forward, it's getting closer to the paper, and eventually it's going to hit the paper, and I'll draw my line. And then when I'm done, I'm gradually lifting my pen. So my hand is doing this nice, beautiful pen stroke, but it's coming in like a plane. A plane doesn't come in and land solid. It lands gradually. And that's exactly what my pen is doing. So in motion, which is I know is hard to see from above, I'm starting back here. I'm going closer, closer, gently touching the paper. Now I'm pressure. Now I'm pulling out. I'm coming in, and I'm not stopping here. I'm going to keep my pen moving, and then I lift off. So this is my land, do my pen stroke, and then my takeoff. So vertically, putting it this way, my hand is moving forward and moving closer to the paper at the same time, making the pen stroke and then coming off. And that makes these beautiful blends instead of getting this harsh line. Also, sometimes if you try to continue a line and you do this, you get kind of an odd connection. So when we can start back and then take off, you get a nice smooth blend. So that's the first thing about auras. The second thing is you can do auras with this flat takeoff and land. Okay, so you get that point. But you can also do auras where you come in and you go up a little bit and then come down. So see how I went up. And notice I'm still taking off back a little bit. I'm going up and then down. And you can do it the other way. Up and then down. So these pen strokes can direct and move the entity or the shape that you're making. And that's one of the fun things about senna. So if I have, let's say I have a flux shape. This is flux. And I want to aura flux. Watch how I can make the aura move. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go up and come down. The next one that I do, instead of coming off the line from here, I'm going to come off the line later. and I'm going to land later. So notice the second one I came off here and I landed here. I'm going to turn my tile. Turning your tiles key and senna. Start, take off, and I'm going to land further. Turn my tile. Look how far. So notice my lines are going this way. I want to get them to go more this way. So my next aura, I'm going to take off way over here and land over here. Turn my tile. I still want to keep wrapping around, so I'm going to take off way up here and I'm going to land way up here. Turn my tile, take off and land. So see how I'm getting my aura to travel based on where I'm taking off and where I'm landing. Okay, what if I don't want to go into a spiral? Well, I can take off here, come out, and land. I want to go this direction. Take off and land. Take off and land. So now I'm going up. Well, I want to curve this to the right. So I'm going to take off later, and I'm going to land over here. Take off and land. Notice how I'm turning my tile. The key to this is that your writing hand is not really moving. It's doing similar pen strokes, in this case mostly C curves, and it is comfortable and relaxed and loose, and I'm moving the paper to fit my hand. So now I've done a couple of these to go to the right. Well, I want to change the direction again. So I'm going to, for me, I like to go this direction. So you can do these any direction. You can go from left to right or from right to left. It doesn't matter. It's the takeoff and land position that makes the difference. So I'll take off this side and I'll land further over here. Turn my tile a little bit. Take off and land. Take off and land. And notice that every time I make that aura, I'm just guiding it into the direction that I want. So what if I keep my landing spot in the same place? Watch this. Take off and land. So this is going to be my landing spot. Take off, and I'm going to land in the same spot. Take off and land. Take off and land. And I'll just fake this one out. So now I've got this spiral because I chose to land always in the same spot. And this is the magic of senna. Where your takeoff and land is, and you can see a couple places my takeoff and land was messy. You can get these beautiful shapes just by the direction and the flow of your aura. So that's what we're going to do today. It's a beautiful, mindful, gentle tangling. I'm going to happen to work on a 5x5 tile. So this is one of our newest Zentangle tiles. It is my favorite. It is literally 5x5. Okay. And I am going to show you our tile just so that you have it. This is where we're going to go. Okay. It is a simple tangle. It is senna in the center and flux on the outside. But notice the movement of senna, because every now and then I would change direction. This is what we just did, coming to a point in our landing. Sometimes I'll aura with an S curve. Okay, and we're gonna play with this. The caution I want to tell you is that your tile will look different, and that is good. I can never, ever, ever do senna the same way twice. It's one of those in the moment flows that you really want to get used to. And if you try to make it look like something else, you're going to lose the magic of it. The magic of this is the one pen stroke at a time. Okay, so you're going to follow me and I will guide you, but where you do your pen strokes and auras is going to be where your tile needs it, not based on where my tile needs it. The first thing we want to do, I'm going to pull off just a little bit, is with pencil, any pencil you want, we're going to come in and we are going to put this wiggly square in the center of our tile. Okay, it's not really the center, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more room in the center because I want lots of room for senna. Okay, anything like that, and that was pencil. Almost looks like a piece of toast. I'm going to switch to an 05 pen, but you can tangle with anything you want. Don't be worried about what you're tangling with. If you don't have a Zentangle tile, anything will work. You do this in a journal, do it on copy paper, do it on cardstock, whatever you like to tangle on. And if it's not square, if it's round or something else, that's perfectly fine. You are invited to make this your own and use the supplies that you love to use. It's not about me, it's about you. Okay, so we're going to start this with Flux. And I showed Flux here. I'll demo it back here. Flux is another headquarters tangle, one of my favorites. Flux is a teardrop that most of the time you see a little flick mark in the center. I love to do Flux connected like a border. And takeoff and land is similar in Flux. I talk about takeoff and land a lot in case you can't tell. Okay, so what I like to do when I make this a border is if one goes to the right, I'll come over to the left, but look where I'm taking off. I take off way at the bottom and then I decide where I want to branch off, and then I land on that same stem. I'll put the flick mark in. And I usually alternate, not always, but at the beginning I'll alternate. I will take off on the stem of this guy and eventually branch out. And then I will keep alternating until my space tells me something different. So if I want this to turn right, when I do my next flux shape, I'm not going to take off here. I'm going to take off here and curve that in. And now when I do the left side, I need more than one flux to make up that space on the left. So I'll come in and I'll do a flux shape, turn my tile. I'll do another one. And if that isn't enough, notice how I'm turning my tile. I'll do a third, or however many I need to get me around in the right direction. And then I'll go back to the right. So this is a rhythm tangle the way I do it in a border, except that it doesn't always have to be right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay? Wherever I want it to go, I can make it go. There will be times, let's see if I do this. There are times where if I come in and I do my flux shape and it lands here, I just let it go behind and I pretend like there's a line coming back in there. Very forgiving. So what we're going to do, and if you're still practicing that, pause the video. I'm going at my own pace for the video size. please feel free to stop and enjoy your tangling. You don't have to rush. What we are going to do is create ourselves a border of flux that we're going to put senna in the center. So here's my tile. I'm just going to pick a spot, and I'm going to use that pencil line as my guide, and I'm just going to walk my way around, taking my time. So it's been pretty straight so far, but I'm coming up to a curve. So I think on this one I'll have my flux shaped curve pretty sharp. I'll do an outer one, turn my tile, another outer one, maybe a baby flux shape. And I want you to notice we're going to come in and fill these in with orbs and maybe some even little baby flux shapes. So don't get stressed about doing this. No mistakes. Enjoy that pen stroke. Okay, so there's my flux border. It ended up a little too straight on the side, a couple of the sides, so I want a little bit more flare. So I'm going to come in and put a couple little baby flux shapes in there just to break up the straightness of it. And I'm going to also add in some orbs. Definitely wasn't looking for a perfect border. right, I think that's good enough for now. I may add more as we go along, but I think for flux that's good enough. Okay, so we are going to start with senna. I am going to switch to a thinner pen just because I end up liking thinner pen for all my auras, and then I come in and choose where I want to add my thicker pen to give me my dimension. But that's the way I approach it. You approach it however you like. Okay, so I am going to give myself some lines in here. So when I do senna, I know the step out usually, the step out from headquarters has a horizontal line, and then you do these lines from all the way around it. I approach it a little bit differently. I like to come in and just give myself some lines to work with. And where these come from, it's just random. I'm just coming in and putting a couple different little S curves. Maybe I'll connect this. Just something. It's almost like a string. I count it as a string. And then what I'm going to do is look at this and decide which one I want to start with. And I'm just going to aura. So let's say I want to start here. This is a small section. So I can start here, take off, and land. And I can choose to keep going that direction. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that. So I'm taking off and I'm landing kind of in the same spot, although I'm riding up flux a little bit. Okay, so that's one way to aura. Then I have this section over here, but I want to travel along this line. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to travel and then land, turn my tile. I'm going to travel there and land at the bottom. So see how my pen stroke is traveling along that line and then landing at the same spot. Traveling and landing. And now from here it feels a little bit odd. So maybe I'll do one more. Goes behind. And once I get into these little sections, I pick an edge to aura. So I'm going to pick this edge, and I'm just going to aura that in the opposite direction. And I'm going to pick this one. So I think senna has more energy. I won't say is more beautiful. It has more energy when I have auras going in different directions. Not fighting each other, but just changing direction and having movement. Movement is the word I'm looking for. So let's say right here, I'm going to choose to aura this direction. So I have a couple wide auras, and then I have a couple tiny auras. All right, so let's continue on. Where do I want to aura next? So I'm going to choose this curve, and I'm going to take this curve just simply out. Till I hit there. And you're going to be making different decisions than I am. I am talking out loud just so that you hear the thought process and that you can learn why I did certain things. Okay, I am going to look at this long edge right here and just give myself this beautiful aura. Let that go behind some things. So you can see this is an unplanned organic type of tangle. Okay, so I have this little bend here, I'm going to choose to start at that point and come around. So see what I did? I'll zoom in a little bit on this one. So this was my hook. I came in and I went around. I'm going to aura that again, but I'm going to take off a little further out and then come around and land. There we go. Take off and land. You may or may not have a curve like this. So now it's going to get a little bit messier. I don't want to come all the way around. So I'm going to take off here and just aura to here. Turn my tile. Take off from here and aura to there. Turn my tile. And I truly do not know what this is going to look like. I am just looking at the auras. That's it. I have no idea. Okay, so where do I want to go now? So let's aura this. I've got this little spot, so I'm going to go that way. Just clean up that edge there, and I'm going to choose to aura this one. The less pre-planned on this you can think, the better. It will look messy at some point because you don't have any shading and contrast in yet. So all you need to think about right now is one pen stroke. One thing I know I like is when I have a hole or a loop like this, I will come in and I will aura this way. And then I will aura the outside. So see how I'm getting a straight edge right there? Not my favorite thing. So I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to put a couple auras in here just to fill up the space. And I'm going to come back around. And look at that beautiful, I could not have planned that. Love that. All right, so where do I want to go next? All I'm looking at is take off and land. That's it. Okay, so I have my last section here. I've got lots of great movement up here. I'm not really crazy. Like this aura line, it's okay. This side to aura, it's okay. Nothing's really speaking to me, so I'm just going to come in and add a new line. I'm going to do that for a little bit. And then maybe I'll come around here. So if you have a section that isn't speaking to you, put in a random line. Curve, C curve, S curve, straight line, anything you want. I think I'll just continue this one. All right, and there we have senna. Super, super, super cool. Okay, so you enjoy your tangling. I'm going to keep moving along. Pause and just come on back. I think before I add any line weight, I'm going to come into where I have my orbs and I'm going to fill in any empty spaces that I might have. The interstices, as we call them. You can add in more orbs at this point if you'd like. I'm going to choose to add a little bit of rounding. So rounding is, if I have a deep V like that, I'll just take my pen and put a little C curve in there and then color it in just to give it a little bit more grounding. Whoops, wrong way. I'm just coming into my tile, keeping my pen moving, doing some of these detail steps that really make a difference. If you want to add more flux shape to your border, it's a good time to do that, or you could wait till the end and do it then also. Okay, and I'm also going to darken up the edge of my flux that touches senna. So my senna is going to be recessed. My flux is on top as the frame. So I'm just darkening up. In fact, I'm going to switch to my 05 for this. A little bit of thicker pen. And just darken up that inside edge. We're going to put good heavy shading there. Okay. Okay, it is a good time for a deep breath. I have not reminded you to take a deep breath yet. And also watch your pen grip. Nice loose pen grip. You don't want to do this really tight and then it goes all the way up your shoulder and then you're tense. We want this to be nice and loose. You have better pen strokes when you have a lighter pen grip. And I just noticed in explaining that, I feel like I need a little bit of something over here. Okay, so loosen things up, shake your hands. Okay, so this is what I have. The next step I like to do is add my line weight or contrast of pen strokes. So right now all of my pen strokes here are pretty thin. I want to thicken some up to just help define spaces, but where you put that is really up to you. So I normally hold this out. I'm just leaning back right now so I keep it under screen. And sometimes I'll squint and I'll see what sections jump out at me and which ones I like. So the first one is here. I like this edge and here. And you'll see as soon as you put in just this thicker pen stroke, it starts to come to life because you have things starting to be defined and different. So see how those sections now pop out? Really love this. And here's the cool thing. If there's a section you don't like, you can split it up. You can put a dark line to break it up. It can work both ways. You don't want to go overboard on this. You don't want to make everything dark. Do a couple sections, stop, hold it out, look at it with perspective. It's very easy to get excited about seeing the result and then darken too much, and then you're back to everything being one tone. Okay, there's that. Let's get some shading. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, and again, I know I'm repeating myself, but just in case, pause the video so you enjoy your tangle time. My intent is not to rush you. I just found a couple places that I missed. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is on the inside edge of Flux, we're going to put a row of graphite on the inside. So what I'm doing on this graphite, it looks like I'm just going back and forth, but I am not. I am doing swirls. We don't want a harsh line. This is what we don't want. We want soft swirls, and I will do pressure, but even when I do pressure, I will fade it off. Okay, we don't want any definitive harsh lines. I will blend this out with a tortillon. I take the point of my pencil and I point it towards the edge that I want to be darkest, which right now is where we've put that dark pen line. And I turn my tile just like I do when I'm tangling so that my right hand can be comfortable and happy and keep me nice and relaxed. Don't panic if you're going over tangling, that's okay. And as you take your tortillon or whatever you're using for smudging, this is smudging graphite, I'm going up against the graphite and I'm pulling it out. So the purpose of the paper stump or tortillon is to just soften that line. So I can take those swirls and I'm blending it together and see how I can get that edge gone and blending it and pressing it into the paper almost. If you have a harsh line like this, you sometimes can smudge it out, but it's a little bit more difficult. See how automatically that recesses the center section. It makes it a little bit further away. It looks like flux is on top. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, when you're ready, come on back. I'm going to look at where I put my dark lines in senna and where do I want to emphasize overlap. This stretch, this little section here, looks like it's over on top of this section. So I'm going to put shading there all the way down. Now, when you blend out the shading in senna, you need to be very mindful what you're doing. If I take this and I blend it really far, I might lose my brightness. And you always want to remember you need a balance of bright and dark to get the dimension. You don't want to make everything dark. So when I blend this, I'm not pulling it out very far. I'm really just smudging the edge for now. I'm going to pick another one. Let's say right here. Putting my graphite right up against that pen line. Smudging it out. Turning my tile. Let's go into here. If you're having trouble finding where to put the graphite, hold it out, squint, take a picture with your phone. That's great for showing you brights and lights. So notice that I'm being very gentle about how I'm spreading this graphite. We're really right now just mapping where we want our shading to be. Sometimes if I'm not sure, I'll just put a little bit as a tester. Whenever you have these C curves in a tube style, that's a great place to put shading on both sides. Leave the top bright white. I tend to like to do a 2-step shading. I do a step like this first, and it's my mapping, and then I will come back in and emphasize it. But for right now, look at all the dimension you've got. And if you have not held your tile out in a while, do that after you do some shading and see the difference that you can get. So our pen, there's a couple things that help this. Number one is we came in and we put our pen line in to differentiate our sections. So automatically you had a thicker pen next to a thinner pen, whatever that means for you, as long as they were different, that defined our sections. And then we used that as a little bit of a guide, not exact, but as a little bit of a guide about where to put our shading so that we had lights and darks. The other thing that helps this is having our auras go in different directions. If all of these auras go in the same direction in the similar pen stroke, there's not as much interest in there. So that's why you see I have spirals, I have C curves, I have S curves. I have big sections and little sections. So there's a lot of flow in this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to keep this moving along. I want to shade Flux, and then I'll show you some details that you can do. What I chose to do is on each of my Flux, I'm going to shade the outside. So where that flick mark is, I'm going to shade to the outside, which is to the right, or to the outside here. So if I'm looking at this as a channel, this is the outside and this is the outside, and then there's the center. I'm shading away from the center. So I'm just putting shading down at the bottom, opposite sides, and then when I smudge that, I'm going to smudge that all the way to the top, but I'm staying on the one side, whether it be the right side or the left side. And that's the rule I chose to do. If you want to make up a different rule, you can shade this however you want. Shade the top, shade the bottom. This is what I chose to do just to make sure you have a balance of light and dark. And I am not precise about this. I just put graphite down in a little bit of a squiggle. The bigger the flux shape, the more graphite I'll put down, and then I'll come back around and smudge that with my graphite. And I'm not doing this to try to rush. Sometimes if I just speed up my process a little bit, it keeps me from overthinking it. Keeps me in that creative play, no mistakes zone, as opposed to trying to be that dreaded word perfect. If you have not heard me say it yet, I say all the time, what makes art and Zentangle beautiful is the imperfections of your hand. We are not machines. We want to be human. That one I forgot to put graphite on, but I had enough graphite on my tortillon that I didn't even have to stop. There we go. So a couple more details. I'm going to come in and shade very lightly the outside. I'm going to just zip through this. This is an option. You can do anything you want on the outside of this. I'm just going to do a little bit of shading. And you can see I'm just really doing squiggly lines on my graphite. I'm not being fussy. I have a lot of graphite on my tortillon. So just to ground this a little bit. And this I can pull out far. And let it really be this haze that happens around the whole design. So got a little bit of a haze there. Okay, so I want to show you how to add extra drama to this. And I'm just reaching for... You can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to pull, let's say, we'll do that. There's all kinds of tools you could do this extra drama with. This is a good time if you have a 2B pencil, a 4B pencil, 6B, any of those really dark graphite pencils. You also have the new Zentangle pencil for the extra dark shading. That's another option. The thing with graphite, the more you add though, the more you get a little bit of shine when you add graphite like that. I personally like the Pit matte graphite, and I don't have it within reach right now, so I don't want to stop and go get it. That is another option. You can do Blackwing. Blackwing has a matte pencil for really dark shading, or you can do a black colored pencil, which mine is in a pencil extender because it's really short. But I'm going to go ahead and use the Blackwing. Let me give it a sharpen it a little bit. Any of those options, the process is going to be the same. I am going to come into my senna and I am going to look for my deep dark corners. So this is going to go very particular. I'm going to be very particular where I add this. Like right here, my deep dark corner, and I'm going to put this in and then I'm going to fade it off very quickly. So when I do this, I'm trying to fade off instead of using my tortillon. I have a pencil, a graphite pencil, a Blackwing, or any of the other pencils. You can smudge this with a tortillon. If you're using a colored pencil, like a black colored pencil, you're not going to be able to smudge it as much. It'll do a little bit, but not a lot. So you want to have good control of your pencil when you're doing these extra steps. So I'm coming in here and I'm looking for the areas that I really want to recess, like make look deeper. I'm going to try to get a couple done, and then you can see the difference. That one I was not as good with my pencil, so I'm going to just smudge that just a little bit. Let's say right here. Okay, so that's the black wing I've been working. I'm going to switch to my black colored pencil so you see how that one works. And I'm going to smudge, like I said, you'll get a little bit of a smudge, not a whole ton, right in here. So see how I can make that look much more recessed with extra dark shading. And I think I can put a little bit regular. This is regular graphite there. I kind of missed a spot. And this is optional. This is a detail step if you like a little bit of added drama. That's what you can use this for. When I do this, I notice that I have a section that was actually too bright, so I needed to tone that down. Same here. I feel like this section's a little bit too bright. Needs a little bit more contrast. Okay. The other place you can put this is right on the edge, the inner border. So I'm going to do half of the tile. And you can see the difference. Hopefully. And again, this is black colored pencil that I switched to just so you were able to see both options. And I'm very strategic where I do this step. So when you look at this side versus this side looks like it has more depth, like it's more, the center is more recessed. It is a personal choice whether you want to do those details or not. Okay. I think that's it. Let's go ahead and put I'm going to go ahead and put our chop on it because I think what's left is your details that you like to do on your tile. A little sign on the back. And it is, well, today it's the 5th. I don't know when you are watching it, but right now it's the 5th. Okay. And you can also, if you like more details, if you're a tiny tangler like I am, you can take a thin pen, if I could find one, and you can come in here and add rounding. I didn't take the time to do that in class today, but you can absolutely come in here and decide where you want to add some rounding. One of my favorite things to do with senna, we just got a little bit too long in the video, so okay. And I want you to see that this was our class sample that I had done before, and this is what I did in class today. They're different. I wasn't even looking at this class sample because I knew I wasn't going to be able to replicate it. Okay, so every time you do this, it is truly a unique work of art. All right, let's go ahead and take a nice good deep breath. Shake out those hands. That was a lot of tangling for this one. Thank you so much for tangling with me today and for being here. I hope you enjoyed this class. There's more to come in Free Class Week. I'll see you soon. Bye.